Today is July 27th, 2013, about 11:10 a.m., and we're speaking with Mr. Gene Bittler.
But anyhow, my dad, when he got out of high school and like that, he liked the West, and he's tramping around through the country and starved to death one winter in a supposedly gold mine in Utah. And then when spring came, he was headed home. And he ended up there in Maybell and met this guy, and he gave him a job for a while. He liked Maybell, so after he got married and had me, well, he come back to Maybell and then come back again and come back again. So that's the way I ended up in Maybell.
How old were you when you came?
First, I was a year old. First
oh, year old.
He brought me out here, and then we came back again in 1942. It was during the war. Somehow he had a special ration card, you know, for gas, because he was working for the government making powder, dynamite or whatever, explosives. So we came, I think it was 1942. I was about 8 years old. We came out then, and then in 1945 he says, "How would you like to go spend the summer with Dutch?" He was an old gentleman that did well that my dad had met and stuff like that. So, well, I'd love that. So we stuck a $50 bill in my pocket and a train ticket to Denver.
Oh. Wow. Did you ride the rail or the train?
Rode the train to Denver and then the bus to Maybell.
Oh, bus to Maybell. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And when we were out here when I was 8, I got pretty familiar with, you know, the area. I knew where I was at. I wasn't lost. I trusted the bus driver, and I went to sleep, of course. I was pretty weary, tired, traveling for a couple of days. I woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning and kind of bleary-eyed looked out the window. And there was a sign that said Green River, which was in Utah. Hey, he didn't let me off.
Wow.
I walked up there to the driver and I said, "Sir, I think you forgot me." And he said, "I know it. I just thought about you, kid. I'm so sorry." He was visiting with the soldier. I don't know what we're going to do. I guess this soldier was going back to Vernal on furlough or something. Well, if he has to, he can stay with us tonight. He's a married man, I guess. Anyway, he said, "Well, the eastbound might be sitting there at the cafe." And it was, so he put me back on the eastbound, back to Maybell.
Oh, okay.
It was just getting daylight, and I got off the bus in Maybell and walked up to Dutch's house. Spent the summer here. Went back to Pennsylvania. Then the World War II was over in August that year.
Okay.
The Japs surrendered. I don't think you're Japanese. In those days they were Japs. Now they're just people, you know. There was quite a bit of bitter feelings, you know. That was as soon as the soldier boys and Navy boys come home with Japanese wives and German wives and like that. Like, we got pretty, you know, it settled pretty fast. Other than, well, you know, some of the history.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. So the day the war was over, well, they put the big padlock on the powder factory. So my dad was out of work.
Wow.
He came back out here to visit me.
So how many years did you continue going back and forth between Colorado and
Well,
Pennsylvania?
I think I'm to the point where we moved to Colorado.
Gotcha.
In March early March of 1946.
Okay.
And then we finished the 7th grade in Maybell that spring.
Okay.
That was pretty neat. I was a month late getting back to Pennsylvania to start school. Got out to Maybell and it was an 8-month school year instead of 9. So I got out and I skipped a grade. So I went from the 6th grade to the 7th grade there at Maybell in 1 year. So.
Did you
Wow.
attend the country school that was out there?
Yeah, there was 3.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen pictures of them or not? Or
No, we've heard stories about a few of them out
yeah,
in the area.
there was 3 buildings there
Uh-huh.
at one time.
Okay.
And,
What do you remember about that particular school?
it's just there was the first 4 grades were in one building.
Okay.
And somewhere, I don't know whether I gave that picture to Jan or... No, I gave it to my sisters. My mother had taken of the class, but anyway. And then the next 2 grades or the next 4 grades, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th were in the middle building. And then they had the high school. Building was there, but it was vacant. That was the first year that they bused the kids to Craig.
So you were in that first year?
No, I was in the 7th grade when I left Maybell.
Oh.
And then my dad moved to a little up to Lay, and I graduated from 8th grade in Lay. I guess you noticed Lay when you drove to Maybell, didn't you?
Yeah. It was very brief.
Well, it's briefer now. They did have a little store there and a gas station and a post office at the time that we lived there.
Uh-huh. So you finished the 8th grade in Lay.
And then we moved to East Slope. 3 high schools.
3 high schools.
Jobs were hard to find, and the only thing my dad could find was in agriculture. And with 4 children, or 5, I guess, 4. $100 a month didn't go very far. But I got like a lot of other young men have, and Dawn may tell you that too. I got to work on a hay crew when I was 12 there at Lay and earned $64.
Wow.
And that was good. $4 a day for 16 days.
Wow.
Room and board. Yeah. And I know Don worked up there when he's 5 years younger than I am. He's 4. He worked up there when his brothers worked up there. You know, during hay and as time went on.
How many workers did they have?
Oh, there was just, actually, in that crew, there was just the boss and one other older man and myself, 3.
Okay.
He just got a new tractor, so he mowed the hay with the tractor with a sickle bar on it, or tractor mower. And then my job was to rake it. And in those days, they stacked the hay loose. They had what you called a buck rake. It was just a big... Jan, sure you got pictures of them around here someplace, but there's about 12 feet wide. They pull teeth on them, and you just go down the windrow and pick up the hay and shove it to the stacker. The stacker dump it on the stack, and then the man on the stack would spread it around, keep it square. And then that was my other job, was to, with the tractor, was to you pull on a cable with a set of pulleys, like a block of tackle, and pulled the hay up and dumped it on the stack. That was called an overshot stack. There's one sitting out there, kind of in the, well, I don't know. There's one out at the museum, the other museum.
Lyman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I pretty much lived at home, but I pretty much earned my own way from that summer on, as far as school clothes and stuff like that.
So you were able to keep that money?
That might, well, yeah. Well, I spent it on Montgomery Ward catalog for me and my brother for school clothes is what I did with it.
Wow. So, what were the areas like in Maybell and Lay? What were the people like?
No different than now.
No different than now.
Not really. I mean, it's modernized. There was no electricity, so the water wells were hand pumped. Some people may have had a gasoline engine on them, and a windmill. And in those days, when they used the old sucker rod pumps, they would lift water pretty high, and there was one or two people that built like a platform or a tower and put a tank up there about 15, 20 feet in the air. So they pumped the water up there, then they had gravity flow to the house.
Okay.
I wasn't living in Maybell at the time they got electricity, but I think it was right around 1953 or 54. And of course, with the advent of electricity, people put pressure pumps on their wells and were able to put a bathroom in the house, which required a septic tank, of course.
Right.
And the ground water table was about 4 feet, so septic tanks just don't work very good there.
Okay. Do they have above ground septic tanks? How do they work it?
No, well, now we have a sewer plant there.
Oh, there is sewer there.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
City sewage, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it wasn't anything new to me to live without electricity, because mother's parents in Pennsylvania were in a rural area, and they didn't have electricity when I was growing up either. So, so I knew what the outhouse was, packing water in a water bucket, throwing the junk in a slop pail and taking it to the pig pen. You know, or the kitchen garbage.
Right. Okay. And where did you finish school at?
Fairplay, Colorado.
Fairplay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after high school, what did you decide to do?
Well, I got a little scholarship
Oh.
to junior college out in Trinidad. And so I didn't have any idea what I didn't expect it. I didn't know, and they said, well, they got a really good gunsmith school. Well, I'll try gunsmith. So basically what I learned out of that was a little bit of metallurgy, and I learned how to weld and run a lathe. And then I couldn't afford it anymore, so there was a lot of young men there had just been out of the military, and they were going on the GI Bill, and I had that ahead of me, so I thought, well, let's get the military over with. About that time, the Korean War was over, and so I didn't go. And my mechanical aptitude and what little I learned that 1 year in college when I was, after I got done cowboying for 5 or 6 years, where I started working out there in the mill as a mechanic, and then, 12 years I was in middle management.
Okay.
Yeah, finished the last 13 years in middle management. So.
25 years, huh?
Yeah, 26 actually.
Oh, 26.
Yeah.
How was it?
I guess, yeah, everybody's a little different, but it was pretty stressful for me. Worried about it some.
Right.
There's a lot of work. Fact is, I've been away for almost 30 years now, and every once in a while I wake up, you know, thinking that I ought to be getting back to work.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's what I did. I was self-taught.
Right.
A self-taught idiot, not an educated one.
Okay.
I had to compete with several mechanical engineers and electrical engineers at my job.
Right.
It was fun.
Yeah. So, in all that time, how did you see the area around you change?
Well, just to put it this way, first car was a Model A, and now I drive fairly new vehicles. I mean, that's one way, you know, that's one thing.
Right.
But I bought my first used Ford for $800, you know,
Okay.
1954 that I bought. My dad had the Model A's and stuff.
Right. Would you often come to Craig?
That summer, the first summer that I spent here, I don't remember, maybe it was once a week or probably every 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Because the old gentleman had an old 36 Chevy sedan, and it was a highway, but it wasn't real wide or real smooth, and the old Chevy it'd run about 30 miles an hour. So we'd come to Craig and do what shopping he wanted to do, and then have lunch at some restaurant, and go back home, and he'd write in his little ledger how many nickels and dimes he spent here and there and everywhere else. That was his income tax information.
Right.
But the biggest change is inflation, you know.
Okay.
When I first went to work when I was cowboy, I was getting $150 a month room and board. And that was in the 50s. And then when I got to be a ranch foreman, it was $250 a month with a house furnished, fuel, and utilities.
Okay.
Which wasn't a bad job, really.
Right.
The wife got 75 cents a meal for each man that she set down at her dinner table, or supper table, or breakfast table, or whatever.
Okay.
Then come when we hayed, why, then she'd go on salary. So.
Okay.
But that's the biggest change, is economics. Now, the old Ford pickup I drive costs almost as much as my annual salary was when I retired.
Yeah.
Well, I was retired at about $50,000 a year. But
Okay. When did you meet your wife?
she worked on the hay crew.
Oh, okay.
Her dad was a contract haler. Contract hay baler, and she worked in the kitchen at the ranch. Was kitchen helper at the ranch where I was working at that. Well, I worked at this one ranch for 6 or 7 years, but it had 5 different units at the time, so.
Okay.
So, I guess I worked on all but one of them. So, well, no, I worked on all of them. It was kind of fun. In those days, we would just switch it over and we used teams, you know. You mowed with teams, you raked the hay with teams, you bucked the hay into the stack with the teams.
Okay.
It was quite a... But now I see all this modern equipment, big old hay balers, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest changes is economics and the advancement in, you know, the engineering has gone into equipment.
Right.
That goes with the mining equipment, the farming equipment.
It just made everything more efficient?
I would say no, if you could hire teamsters, you know. And then, of course, a white man right now would starve to death if he had to go out and work hard enough to earn a family, to raise a garden, to raise a family. They'd starve to death. They just couldn't. They don't pay enough, and they don't know how to do it. So. That's what I'm putting in a good word for immigration. I mean, those people got the dexterity, and they can do the labor, but you won't see very many. I'm going to use the word white boys out there. They're too darn lazy. That's what it boils down to. Well, I'm going to go get my hands dirty for less than $15 an hour, you know. They're not going to work. Oh, it's break time. That's another thing that has changed a lot. Is this. Well, you just don't see very many young men going to work right out of high school and being able to support a family, you know.
Right.
They're just, you got to have that 40-year debt. I don't know how much you kids are going to have in debt for if you get through college.
Quite a bit.
But stuff like that, it's just, I don't know. I know there isn't very many kids that get out of high school now that could support themselves in agriculture, that's for sure.
Right. How did the power plant here affect the area around, like in Maybell and everything?
Well, yes, and that's was one of my absentee parts at Maybell was when they built the power plant. When Craig boomed, and you know, it actually made. Well, what it's done now is there's still people on fixed income with pretty minimal wages, and then we got the power plant and the mines and stuff like that pay us. The economics don't match the low income families.
Right.
If you can understand what I'm trying to say. Or that's my opinion. But it's still the same old. If I had to live any place, I'd just soon be here as anywhere while I am.
Do you have any children?
I had 2 boys and a girl, and both boys are deceased.
Oh. I'm sorry to hear that.
And my wife of 53 years died 7 years ago. So we knew this lady that partially live with now. We knew them, so we got kind of hooked up. But we'd be married if it's just a matter of economics. She's got her income and I've got mine, and we'd lose about half of it if we got married. So. set up that now. Yeah, I've got one daughter that lives in Hobbs, New Mexico. She's got, her youngest daughter turned 32. I've got 5 great-grandchildren.
Wow. Okay. 5 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. Right. What type of activities for recreation have you done over the years?
Of course, hunting and fishing.
Right.
And anything connected with a horse.
Okay.
Years ago. I haven't been on one for 10 years or more now.
Uh-huh. How has hunting changed over the years?
From poor to excellent to poor.
Really?
Yeah.
Why was it poor to begin with?
Well, probably, I wouldn't say it was real poor, but it was scarce. I mean, this wasn't even known as a hunting area, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Then it started getting popular, and the elk moved into this area.
About 50 years
now,
ago.
why they have the drawings and the big high-priced licenses. Well, I'm not going to go into that because that's a different set of economics altogether.
Yeah.
It's just, it was there a few years at Maybell Park. We have camping in there, but during a couple of seasons we had as many as 60 camps in there.
Wow.
Don't ask me where we put them. And the hunting was that good. I mean, it supported it.
That's a lot of camps.
Yeah. The people just kind of, that instead of going out in the brush and camping, there's a lot that do that too. They like to socialize and have inside plumbing and be able to take a shower and all that stuff.
Right.
But the whole Moffat County lives one hunting season to the other,
Okay. That's a good quote. Did you have anything you wanted to ask?
I was just wondering for the management stuff, because you were there for 26 years, you said?
What?
You were in management for 26 years?
No, for about 13.
13.
Well, everything. I went to work what they call the bull gang. That's the labor crew. That's the entry level. For $2.07 an hour, and was making good money. A big cart full of groceries that would last a week. You could get from between $20 and $25. And then I just advanced to $2.40 an hour within 3-4 months. In those mills, if you worked hard and had a little knowledge, you got a little bit of overtime too. And what's Murphy's Law, that everybody will progress to the point of incapableness or something like that. That isn't exactly how you say it.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. You get in over your head, so to speak. So anyway, the superintendent down at Rifle called me in the office one day, and the old man I was working for said, "You're going to get some kind of an advancement." I said, "He never comes out on a job and tells the guy to come to his office unless he's really mad at him." so I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Did you go to Arkansas? I said, I did. What was you doing down there? And I told him I had taken guys, helped a guy move. And he says, did you talk to anybody down there? And I said, yeah, a few. What'd you talk about? Oh, I said, a job.
Right.
Brush fire, huh? Anyway, he says, well, that's what they want you for, so that's when I went into supervision.
And so how did that change over time, if you saw any changes?
Say what?
How did your job as a supervisor
Oh,
change?
not a whole lot, because I was one that, I'd worked when I was at the rifle plant when my foreman there was kind of course they were a little bit union, you know, but nobody bothered, and he liked to get in there and work a little bit too. Well, the superintendent did out here too. He'd love to have a weekend to work with me, and push the stuff back on his desk, say the heck with it, and roll up his pants and go out and mechanic with me what he could, you know, just, anyway. So I worked with the guys quite a bit, but you still had the, you know, the responsibility of safety and well, production, online, keeping your equipment online. But, and then it is, the hardest thing about supervision, I don't care where you're at, is not the discipline, and that isn't the word I'm trying to talk about, or trying to say, but is managing the people, not the job, because you have all kinds of different personalities. I told a couple guys one day they'd hurried up and did a really nice job for me and whipped her out, and of course they didn't. I was new out there in California, and they got her done. I said, boy, that's a good job, guys. I said, I couldn't have done better myself. Well, they took it completely wrong. They thought I was
things like
that. No, I said, that's as good as I could have done.
Oh.
You know, and they didn't realize that I had a little bit that was talking about my ability to do a good job. Remember that? They thought I was criticizing. See, I mean, there you go.
Yeah. How do you feel about this area, Craig and Maybell? How do you feel about the point that it's at today, economically, or the people, or any of that?
Oh, let's don't get me started. I mean, you know, the country and everything's fine, but the politicians are they're rotten from the lowest level of any place. They're not working for, this is my opinion.
Right.
They're not working for the people. They're just out to either be a Democrat or a Republican or a Tea Party, that's all.
Okay.
I forgot we had the recorder school. But that's, you know, I mean, everybody's blaming Obama. Well, good Lord, he's got a hell of a staff, hundreds of people, so he ain't the only one that's...
Yeah.
And when we had the Bushes in there, well, things weren't any better either. Still... No, it's, you see, I don't know if your kids are environmentalists or not, or meet in the middle of the line or what, but you see a lot of stuff pulled here that's just political environmentalism as far as I'm concerned. There's people that would shut down oil production and then cry because they couldn't go to the gas pump and get a tank full of gas.
Right. Okay.
Cut off their hand to spite their face or something like that. that's the trouble we're having now. And a lot of the pressure comes from other places too. I mean, for our water and our resources and stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be too long, you guys will be drinking our water.
Well, I know that a lot of the electricity isn't held here. A lot of it is shipped to California.
Oh yeah, it's all bridged together, and they're talking about another big DC line. There's one DC line now that comes out of, I guess, the Grand Coulee,
Oh.
there like that, and goes clear to San Diego.
Oh.
It's a DC line, and the negative is just the ocean.
Oh.
They can transmit a lot more power with the cable size, and then convert it back to alternating currents.
Right.
You know, actually, it's just 2 wires instead of 3. I don't know where. Well, that line goes through Bishop's where it goes, but so it doesn't. You guys wouldn't see it, but it goes right through Bishop.
Right.
Down to San Diego. And they're talking about building another one, and they probably will, but it takes a while to get the right-of-ways and stuff. And I'm not sure. I think that might be from a wind farm. Might be.
Okay. Interesting. Do you have any other stories or memories or things you'd like recorded on here?
Not really.
Okay.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things, but I started out with a lady from college. I don't know if you've met her or not, Barry. She's still in the bell tower building, I think. But and I guess they're going to start again this fall with a memoirs class.
Oh, right.
And you probably read some of their stuff that's around it. Anyhow, I started out with them. I was the only man in the group. There's all women. What that didn't bother me any. But and then I had a problem. What I do? I had my back operated on, and then got the shingles right after, so I dropped out. I haven't been back yet, but they're having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of fun. You just sit around, write down little old stories that don't amount to much, but all of a sudden they seem to mean a lot to different people.
No, it is important, and what you shared is really good, especially the changes you've seen in like the farming equipment and that stuff.
Yeah.
People now, like you said, they don't know about the way it used to be done. All the hard labor.
I'm talking, well, 50. I started ranching in earnest in about 52. And, you know, it was all horses. I mean, it was just to feed with, and you dug the hay out of the haystack with a pitchfork.
Right.
And 500 or 600 cows could eat a lot of hay a day.
Yeah.
But you know what? We went down to the barn and put a little oats in the grain box, and the horses came in and you harnessed them, and you didn't have to worry about dead batteries or engine not starting because it was 40 below zero.
Right.
But now they've got, there again, the equipment stuff. They built 2-star cold weather.
Right. Wow.
It was slower way of life, but it was, now they just don't have any. That ranch that I talked to you about, during the off season we'd have 35, 40 men working, and during haying like 75 or 80. You know, I doubt if you can go to the employment office and hire a guy that could harness a horse or even have any idea. So in 50 years it's changed that much.
Right.
They were just when I left the ranch, we were just getting mechanized, you know, really completely mechanized.
Right.
And I was responsible for part of that. You know. But you couldn't hire teamsters anymore.
Right.
And but that's the way you know, that's progress.
Mm-hmm.
Look what they're doing with the drilling now. They drill down and then turn and go that way. You know.
The machinery that we've seen here, just driving along the road, you know, I don't know what it's called, but one of the machines that picks up all the hay and turns out those little
Bales?
The bales. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Well, they got, the next to the other thing is, the first one that well, this is just chatter now, but the first baler I worked on it had its own engine, the baler did, for power, but it didn't have any of the tying systems or anything like that. Like, one man stood on a platform behind the pickup that picked up the hay. He pulled it with the tractor, pushed the hay into the chamber, and then the two men rode on the baler and back, and one poked the wires through special slots, and the other one tied them by hand.
Oh, okay.
And
that's how it stayed in place.
Yeah, that's how what held the hay together. Then it fell out on the ground, and in later years we built a setup that got a work for it, pulled a wagon behind, so the baler pushed it up the chute and onto the wagon, and then there's another man on the wagon to stack that. So, but now these balers are unimaginable, you know. I mean, there's one working there at Maybell now, and it's just making 3-foot square bales. Some of them are 4s. I mean, it's big equipment.
Yeah.
It probably costs $75,000 or so, you know. So that takes a lot of beef to buy a $75,000.
Yeah.
If it costs that much, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
And I think combines do too. The biggest one I ever ran was a 14-footer. Now they got 30-some foot headers on those combines. And computerized. It raises and lowers depending on the height of the grain, and speeds up and slows down depending on the load that goes into the machine.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, they use a lot of the equipment's run with computers.
Right.
So are our car engines. I mean, just and our big airplanes. That's getting kind of scary, isn't it? That 737 that come in on its nose the other day. I'm always worried about that.
Yeah.
That one in San Francisco that only 3 people got killed. It's something hard to believe. And that one girl ran over with emergency equipment on it.
Yeah, technology today is very interesting and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you have any any closing remarks or anything?
It's been fun. I'm glad to see people like yourselves take an interest in this.
Yeah.
Where will you go from here? I mean, in life, when you go to work.
I just got my my first teaching position out of high school.
Oh,
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
Then what will you teach? Social studies and stuff?
Yeah, world history, economics, and government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm an elementary school teacher. So
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
work with the little ones.
Yeah. Both teachers.
There'd be quite a bit of difference in your curriculum.
Yeah.
You teach in elementary school. We teach everything. I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's all subjects, and based on the grade level, you teach
Yeah.
whatever's required.
Yeah.
You know, there's standards now and everything, so, yeah.
Yeah, But you know what? The guys that are, and gals that are still alive that went to these one-room schoolhouses out here
Yeah.
with the reading, writing, and arithmetic have all been pretty successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried to take a computer class, but I didn't care for it. So then I thought, if I get one, that's where I'll be, is playing with that damn thing. So I got to using the one in the library, and my daughter sent me a bunch of pictures of a haystack burning. It cost me $7 to print the pictures, and the hell, that's computer. That's what having a computer does.
Yeah. They're expensive.
But my brother, he's got one. He uses it quite a bit. He likes it.
Mhm.
And my daughter and her daughters are into it. They're CPAs. So
Oh.
or my daughter and her two oldest daughters. So I need a computer. I either go get somebody to do it for me.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
No problem.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much.
It takes all.